Welcome back. It has been a while since we've been here for Banditland Boulevard, but luckily for us, we got back-to-back recaps here. And look at what the title says. Two dubs. A victory in San Diego, a victory in Saskatchewan. Road trip successful. The Bandits are now 9-1 on the season as we are now in the beginning of March, over halfway through the year. Bandits are 9-1, top of the league. They get their sweet revenge on the San Diego Seals. It was a close one, but hey, it was still revenge nonetheless. And then they go into a red hot Saskatchewan team and come out with a victory there. They weren't pretty, but the job was done. Tony, the Bandits are 9-1. Let's celebrate a little bit.
Yeah, you can't even explain how well they've played on the road, especially coming off their home loss to the Seals and on a heartbreaker in overtime. Um, Going to San Diego, playing like they did, thinking, okay, here we go again. They got our number. And I wasn't too sure if we were going to have back-to-back losses, but the team pulled through. Wasn't easy, or it wasn't as pretty as we like to say it, but you know what? They got back on track. They got the winning ways again, and they relied on their secondary. That's basically it. I mean, it all in behold, Dane Smith and Josh Byrne did produce points, but really the secondary is picking up after the second half is about to begin. So I'm really happy for the guys that they did that against the Seals. And then for the rush game, geez, talk about great defensive game, great
Oh, yeah.
goaltending duo. And again, I'm just glad we're on the winning side of that. So
Yeah.
very proud of our boys. 9-1 going into Saturday.
9-1 going into Saturday, which is huge. We are recording this on Wednesday night. I know it's late, guys, but hey, we got
Yes,
other
we
things going on in
apologize.
our lives. We got things going on in our lives, guys. But
Well,
then
also
again,
trying to heal because we were not feeling well.
yeah, no. And I'm still, I don't even know what it is. The rain is definitely not helping the allergies over here, at least on my end.
Change of weather, stuff
Um,
like that.
so I'm really surprised that I'm sounding as good as I am right now. But hey, San Diego and the Saskatchewan game. We can start off with the San Diego one. And before we even get into that, just look at the patterns over the past couple seasons. Look at 2023, you look at 2024 of the Bandits, and just they run into a little bit of a skid. If you guys have noticed, late February, early March, they really don't look like the Bandits. 2023, they were injury riddled. They had the excuse. They have to overcome adversity. Josh Burns injured, Chase Fraser's injured, Chris Kluche's injured. This is when they were winning games like 7-6 in
Yep.
San Diego. They really weren't scoring a lot of goals. They had to come from behind to beat the Riptide, I believe, around this time. And
Yep.
in 2023, they also dropped a really bad game against Colorado at home around this March time. So this is usually the time where the Bandits start to go on a little bit of a plateau in their season. Last year, we remember this very well for all the wrong reasons. Remember, they went to Vancouver around this time last year and really underperformed in that game. It's just a little pattern that the Bandits are having to go through. And like Tony said, they're not pretty, but they don't really have to be pretty as long as you get the W. And
Yep.
the Bandits, they really did. They really looked. The W looks prettier on the stat sheet than the actual style of play that they were, incorporating into both of those games. Starting off with the San Diego game. So whenever I see stuff like, oh, the Bandits are falling off, what is going on? You hit peaks, you hit valleys in a season. I mean, what can you really say, right? Like you're not gonna just blow every team out.
Correct.
It's just not gonna happen. The important thing is the Bandits. This was the true test. I think on the last episode that we did, like forever ago, when we said the San Diego and Saskatchewan road games, this was the true test to see how mentally strong this team is and physically strong. They are both of those things. They came out with a W in both of those wins. One of them was a 1-goal victory. One of them was a 2-goal victory. So they came out with the W. Didn't even need overtime, by the way. They got them both done in regulation, starting off with the San Diego game. Like Tony was mentioning before, your secondary guys were showing up. And if I want to mention the San Diego game first, Kyle
Sure.
Buchanan, dude, if you're not on the roster, we're losing this game 16-6. Kyle Buchanan, this was the game of his life this year. On the road in his old barn, Kyle Buchanan hitting for the hats, baby. If we're talking about hockey, he scored a really solid and much needed hat trick in that game. Kyle Buchanan looking like his old self. And it was kind of a game where Matt Vince struggled a bit, especially on some of those shots from beyond the restraining line. I know one of them went right through the 5-hole, and you're like, Vino, got to make that save. San Diego knows how to play Matt Vince very well. I will give them that. And I felt like they did a decent job at limiting. I don't want to say completely shutting down because he got 6 points, but limiting Westberg. He went on a bit of a hot streak when they came to the KeyBank Center. I believe he scored 5 in that game, including the OT winner. They did a good job at limiting him. I think the defense played very, very well in that game. Tehoka Nanticoke struggled a little bit in that game, but a lot of your secondary guys did start to show up. And believe you me, people, we will get into Tehoka Nanticoke's rebound in that game against Saskatchewan because, wow, he had a fantastic game against the rush. But Chase Fraser showing up, Chris Kluche showing up on the stat sheet. It's always great to see an Ian McKay goal. And I don't want to tarnish Tehoka Nanticoke's name because he did score a crucial power play goal there in the third quarter to take the 11-10 lead. And every one of those goals in that game mattered. But this was the game where, hey, look, you proved to the fans that Dan and Josh aren't your entire team. Your secondary guys showed up and showed out, led by Kyle Buchanan.
Yeah, and again, number 91 is like the workhorse of this team right now. He's having one of his best seasons, and I think because of his leadership role and the way how he persists in the game, especially for getting to the loose balls in the offensive zone, or actually in the defensive zone of our opponents, just flat out, just all out everywhere. He's nonstop. And we can't also forget about Clay Scanlon, too. Another guy who came back from being called back up and also scoring and producing points as well. He's like the next Kyle Buchanan. He likes to get gritty. He likes to get to those loose balls. He creates madness against the teams defensively. And you know what? I was actually happy that he actually played that game against the Seals for the second time. He never got to play, I think, the home game, but I know for a fact he played on the road. And you know what? I'm glad we brought him up because I think that kind of threw a curveball at the Seals, and they weren't expecting number 81 to be on the floor. And on top of it, you have both Kyle and him creating mayhem in their defensive zone, and they had no answer for it.
Yeah, mayhem was definitely a good word to use on your part there because Clay Scanlon scored a crucial goal in that fourth quarter, the go-ahead to go up 12-11, a goal that took a while to review, if you remember that. They were looking at Josh Burns if he had a stick in the crease. He didn't have any involvement in the play. He was behind the net. He was standing behind the net. He was yanking his stick out of the crease. He was in the process of lifting up his stick. It was a good goal. Clay Scanlon playing through the whistle. What a heads up goal there. I don't think I think that was more of a defensive breakdown too. They didn't see Clay Scanlon standing there in the middle of the field. You got to think for the San Diego goaltender, that's probably one that he wants back. Maybe some better rebound control on that would have been nice. It hit him right off the pad. It went right to Scanlon. Perfect place, perfect time for a guy like Clay. And he's been a great part of this team. Man, I mean, I mentioned before, if Kyle Buchanan isn't on this team, we don't win this game. If Clay Scanlon isn't called up, I don't know if we win this game. We at least go to overtime or something like that. But Kyle Buchanan scoring the hat trick, including the game-winning goal in the fourth quarter with 4:25 remaining. It was one of those games where San Diego had the ball with less than 45 seconds to go. It was one of those bite your nails kind of games. I hate those types of finishes, but Matt Vince got his revenge. The last time they played at the KeyBank Center, he gave up that crucial goal with less than 10 seconds to go to force overtime. He stood tall on the road, and the Bandits got their much-needed revenge. Now, the thing that scares me before we really start going into the ins and outs of this is if the season ended right now, the Bandits would be hosting the 1 seed, hosting the 8 seed San Diego Seals. If the season ended right now, the Bandits would be playing the Seals in a do-or-die quarterfinal matchup, which kind of scares me a little bit if I'm a Bandits fan, not even going to lie. One of the things that I really didn't like, and we can also get into this when we talk about the Saskatchewan game too.
Sure.
We beat this horse to death every single week on the show, Tony. The penalties, bro. Like the freaking horrible penalties. We take a lot of penalties. This has kind of been a new thing that we've been seeing in the 2025 season over the past month or so. This team just takes a lot of penalties. And I mean, it is good on the other end that, hey, despite all the penalties, you're overcoming them and you're still pulling out victories. You're still a 9-1 team. You've blown out how many other teams this season after taking a decent amount of penalties.
Yeah.
They don't really seem to be affecting them in the win-loss column, but you got to think on the other side, hey, if we didn't take as many penalties, we could be winning this game, by 4 or 5 goals instead of a bite your nails kind of a 2-goal or 1-goal type of finish.
Yeah, I mean, especially how, like, from the previous game at home, going to the Seals arena, um, guys got to stay out of the box. I understand.
Yeah.
Listen, the embellishment penalties or whatever it is that they're calling, you have got to be careful because you got a big target on your back.
Any
Why? Because you're back-to-back champs, and of
penalty.
course they're going to call a lot of stuff. You got to be careful. But also the other thing is too, and we'll talk like we said about the rush game because there is one person on the defensive side that we'll get to that in a second. But again, you have to keep control. You have to bite your lip, bite your tongue, something. You can't really say anything to the referees because you know for a fact you start chirping, they're going to start calling stupid penalties, or you get yourself in a situation where you put yourself in, and then you're like, well, I guess the retaliation is going to come my way because I made a dumb decision.
Right.
So
Every
for
sport they call
that,
the retaliator. Yeah, every
well,
sport.
yeah, I
Yep.
understand that, but
Yep.
again, you gotta maintain, you gotta be humble, you gotta like not let it get to you, and that's what it's been going on, especially for this game, because for the Seals and for the Bandits. I mean, the Bandits obviously had 12 penalty minutes, and the Seals only had 8. But again, you've got to stay out of the box. I've seen that our penalty killing is the percentage is starting to shrink a little bit more because it's starting to like you know we're giving them the advantage in the special teams again, and that's something you got to just not do, especially with the firepower that the Seals have, even with a kind of like a under 500 to 500 type record. So you got to really be careful of what you do there.
And a lot of those, I'm just watching the replay back, and I'm like, yep, can't do that. Can't do that. What are we doing? Type of stuff. Just looking at it as a fan, I'm like, yep, that's the right call. Like you can't get your stick up high. You can't be tripping players. There was one. Was it Ian McKay in the San Diego game? Somebody was like really just hauling it down the floor. Yeah, Ian McKay in the fourth quarter with 9:45 to go in the San Diego game. San Diego forward just streaking up the floor with the ball. He just comes in instead of trying to lay a body check on him. He swings a stick down low, catches him in the leg, and trips him. And I'm like, what? I'm like, what are we thinking there? Like, what's the
That
thought
was not the
process
best move.
behind that? So when I see that, I'm like, dude, you could have tried to poke him. You could have tried to use your body, get in his way, try to knock the ball out like that. But
cut off his angle.
That's the only problem I have. I mean, we won both of these games, don't get me wrong, but we could have been looking at a 3 or 4 goal victory instead of maybe a 1 or a 2 if we stayed out of the box a lot of those times. Now, when you look at the San Diego and Buffalo special teams numbers, the Buffalo power play looked fantastic. 75%, 3 out of 4 on the power play. Despite taking 12 PIMs, they still killed off 50% of their penalties as San Diego went 3 for 6 on their power play. And faceoffs, 50-50. That's all we ask. Buffalo 114, San Diego 114. I personally only asked for 40%. So I know how good this offense is. And if you can win anything above 40%, you're going to give our offense plenty of opportunities to go down the field and score. And that's exactly what they did. 13 goals on the road against a tough team. I think a tougher team than the record says that they are in the San Diego Seals. You should always come out with a victory then. 13 goals should be enough to get you the dub. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the average that we've gone into the games, they've been averaging 13 before when we had that loss against the Seals at home. So after that, it was just like, well, I don't know. Are they going to still continue the offensive side of having 13 goals a game? They obviously can prove it that they can score goals without any problems. But the fact is that defensively and goaltending again had a little slip up, and the window was open for them to come in and score. So again, it's like you said before, Trevor, it's a game of runs, and a lot of things go south very quick if you don't maintain your discipline and maintain the defensive stature.
Yeah, you could have a 3-goal lead, and then all of a sudden, snap of a finger, blink of an eye, you're down by 2. I mean, that's kind of how the NLL is. It is a game of runs, and you can go on a really, really fast run. Look up at the scoreboard, all of a sudden you're down by 2 goals. You're like, what the hell happened? Like, what's going on? We need to lock in here. One of the indicators of the San Diego game that really made me think in the back of my mind, hey, we cannot lose this game. When you see the captain, Steve Priolo, get up on the score sheet and score a goal, we love that. If we know one thing about Steve Priolo, other than the fact that he brings a physical presence every single night when he laces up the cleats in Banditland, he knows how to play against San Diego. You remember a couple of years ago, he scored the OT winner in that same building to win 7-6. He also pots in another one against the same goalie. I think that was in the that was actually in the first quarter to give the Bandits a 4-3 lead. It's always cool to see the captain who really doesn't light up the red light as much as some of these other players. It's always good to see him and that secondary scoring really start to explode against a tough team.
Yeah, timing is necessary, especially if you get stuck out on the floor, but then your offense comes out and you either be the pick, you set the pick, or you set the tone for the other offensive players to score. But when Steve Priolo had the chance and the opportunity, he took it and he scored his goal. So again, anybody on this team can score a goal. It's just amazing how when you have that opportunity and that brief moment, you can make the decision where to shoot and you find it. And it's like awesome to have that feeling, especially when we saw on the loss, I'll have to say, with Connor Farrell just marching down and finally getting his first goal too.
That's all you had to
it's
do.
The same thing like having a defenseman of our team to come down there and score a goal too. So like I said, that's awesome to see Steve Priolo contribute as much as he does defensively.
And the worst part of the game ended up kind of turning into the best part of the game. The penalties. The Bandits went on a 2-man advantage, so they were on the 5-on-3 penalty kill in the fourth quarter, up by a goal. They held them to nothing. They shut them down completely and killed off both of those penalties. That was when I really was starting to thinking, to myself, I'm like, we're going to win this game. We're not going to let San Diego sweep us. We are going to win this game. And, obviously it came down to a last 30-second save by Matt Vince, and then the Bandits got the ball back and kind of ran the clock out on their own, came out with the W. But it is kind of funny. It is kind of ironic that the worst part of their game kind of clutched up at the end and turned into the best part of the game that kind of sealed up the victory for them. To be able to kill off a 5-on-3, your guys are daggone tired out there. They got 2 extra attackers out there because, you have 2 bad penalties. You have an illegal substitution. You have Ian McKay's tripping penalty. So you got 2 guys in the box. You kill that off, and then you make a clutch save at the end. That is a classic Bandits way to win a game. That is a classic Buffalo Bandits close game victory. And we've seen a lot of that over the past 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, and also with the fact that when Vince is getting to the point where it's all the eyes are on him and all the pressure is coming towards him, he's one of those guys that stands up to the adversity and, he just finds a way to get that youth in him again to say, I'm fast. I can make the saves when necessary. And my defense is here to guard me, and no matter what the cost. So, with Paul Dawson and Steve Priolo, the 2 biggest guys that we've had in the back there, just a watch for Vince and the shooting. We couldn't ask for a better trio like that. And also when I, not to mention score predictions that we did,
Oh my God.
You were off by only 1. I was off by only 1. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, they're watching this at the 290 and I'm just out and about watching this game somewhere. And I'm going, come on, score an empty goal. So my prediction wins. He's like, crap, they scored 1 extra goal and my prediction would have won. You said 13-11. I said 14-12. We both got, you got the Bandit score right. I got the opposing score right. So otherwise, it's been pretty damn close.
Does that count for anything? I mean, because
I don't know, but it's pretty close that we're getting that much closer to getting spot on. You know what I mean?
We thought long and very, very hard about that. That was impressive on our part that we got that close on a day where we're like, okay, we really got to lock in here. That was one of these days. It's gonna hit. I'm telling you.
I was hoping. I was crossing my fingers so much to think it was going to be 14-12, and then you're going to be like, son of a bitch, Tony's got that one right. Damn.
Well, they did shoot it down. Didn't they shoot it and they just missed the net, and then that was when San Diego called the timeout.
No.
That was when San Diego got the ball back and called the timeout. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, Tony was this close, because I was thinking about it in the back of my mind.
You were going to message me saying, how did you know this was going to happen?
I would have said, not going to lie, I'm happy that the Bandits won, but I am kind of salty that your predictions hit before mine did, honestly. But hey, the win is all that matters, and that's
right.
Bandits got the W. 1 seed currently. San Diego's the 8th seed. We're over halfway through the year. I'm just saying that's definitely something that you guys got to watch, because oh my God, if that is a first round matchup all eyes will be glued to that game.
No, of
I will
course.
tell you on a national level. Also, let's look at the Saskatchewan game here because we're doing back-to-back recaps. Ugly in the first half, found
Yeah,
a
very.
way in the second half. I'm going to leave it at that, I think. Ugly in the first half, promising in the second half. It was one of those low-scoring games. It kind of reminded me of the I don't even remember what year it was, but there was a game where the Bandits hosted Toronto on like 90s night and they won like 8-6 a few years. I think it was pre-COVID, but it reminded me of the Bandits got off to a very, very slow start in that game. They found a way, came back and won. It was very, very similar vibes to that type of game. But Saskatchewan is no slouch. They have Frank Scigliano had a great game despite giving up 9 goals. What I want to talk about is Matt freaking Vince in this game. Sipping out of the fountain of youth, it looked like the 2010 Matt Vince, the 2011, 2012, 2013 Matt Vince was back in between those pipes. If he wasn't on his game, Sass would have killed the Bandits in this one. But Matt Vince was playing out of his mind. Questionable defense, especially in the first half. Thomas Whitty, for sure, did not have his best night. But a lot of the defense started to step up there in the second half. I don't like the multiple penalties, the multiple PIMs from Steve Priola. I think if you're a captain, you got to be a little bit more disciplined than that.
Yeah,
But
represent your captaincy on that
yeah,
one.
I mean, I was just thinking to myself, come on, Steve. Like he took a double minor at the end of the first quarter. He also took an illegal cross check like less than 3 minutes into the game. I'm like, what are we doing? 6
Yeah.
PIMs in the first minute? Like, come on, you're supposed to be the captain on this team. And other than that, I thought the referees were fantastic in this game, letting the boys play. I think there was only 3 penalties called total after that between the two teams. And I think one of them was from Nick Weiss there in the fourth quarter. There was an illegal sub on Saskatchewan, and then I think Tehoka Nanticoke took an interference or a trip or something like that in the third quarter. But this was definitely one of those games where you didn't feel comfortable at all. But this Bandits team has created a reputation for themselves. When the Rush were up 5-2, I was like, I had this weird sense of these guys are still going to win this game. Like we got them right where we want them. This game's not even close to being over. I'm not even going to sweat it. What do they do in the second half? They go out in the third quarter, end up taking a 6-5 lead going into the fourth. I'm like, this is what this team does. Like, no lead. We said this a couple weeks ago, Tony. No lead is safe against the Buffalo Bandits. You could be the scorching red hot Saskatchewan Rush and score 5. Go up 5-2 on the Bandits. Bandits take an early 2-1 lead. They score 4 unanswered, go on a 4-0 run. And Scigliano's playing out of his mind. He looks like prime Matt Disher, or he looks like prime Matt Vince. Looks like prime what's his name? The old Philadelphia Wings, Dallas Elliott. Looks like prime Elliott in the net.
Wow, good pull
But
on
then,
that one.
yeah, prime. I could also say prime Tool time, Patty O'Toole too.
Patty O'Toole.
Shout out our boy Pat O'Toole. He was looking unstoppable, but all it took was that one goal. And credit Chase Fraser too. Matt Vince and Chase Fraser easily the 2 MVPs in this game because they were, I'm telling you, dominant is an understatement the way that Matt Vince was playing. And Chase Fraser was overdue for an explosive night like that. He couldn't have picked a better night, a better team to face against than the scorching hot Saskatchewan Rush. Wasn't a complete win, but dude, that defense, that goaltending, that gives me so much confidence going into the rest of the season because I know, number one, Matt Vince still has it, and number two, no safe lead against the Buffalo Bandits whatsoever. I don't care what team you are.
And like we said before about the secondary, it's not about, like Dane Smith and Josh Byrne trying to provide all the points. Even though Josh Byrne had a 6-point night with 2 goals, you got Chase with 2 goals and 3 points. You had Dane Smith with only 5 apples. Again, but here's some names that you never really thought of that was going to score. I mean, they've been either trying to get the rhythm back or whatever, but like you said before, Tehoka Nanticoke with his 2 goals coming late
2
to
beautiful
where
goals
it was coming to be where we needed to have him score, and gladly that he did so. Also, names like Justin Martin. Who would have thought we'd ever see Justin Martin get the game-winning goal for that game? And on top of it, you have Nick Weiss scoring a goal. You have Kyle Buchanan scoring a much-needed 1 goal. I mean,
Oh, on
guys,
a beautiful tic-tac-toe play too,
it
Tony.
was,
Did you
oh
see
my
that?
God, Buchanan made him embarrassing on that shot. It was
That was
unreal.
classic
Putting him down
Bandits.
and then going top shelf. That was
Yep. I
sick.
mean, 1, 2, 3. Who was that secondary assist from on the beginning? It was Dane to
It was
Josh
Dooley.
to Bucky. Oh, it was Taylor
I
Dooley.
was going to say Taylor Dooley. He got his
Yep,
first point as a Bandit, I think.
he did. That was his first career point. I think Dane Smith is
Yep.
chasing a milestone. I don't know the exact number. Gertler was saying on the broadcast. I was producing that game, on over on
Oh, for
1520.
all-time scoring.
Yeah, but he is 1 goal away from a certain milestone. I don't remember what the exact number was. I don't have the stats in front of me, but Dane Smith, yeah, he's definitely going to get one soon. I wouldn't lose confidence in number 92. He got five apples on the night, but
Just
dude,
past
Taylor
Gary Gait.
Dooley, yeah, right? I think he already passed. I think he already broke Johnny T's postseason point record. Why not pass one of the Gate brothers too? While
He
you're at
just
it,
did. So he's
but
up by 1 point and going. So
yeah,
he's going
what
to
a
climb.
beast!
He's
What a
definitely climbing.
beast! And Taylor Dooley, congratulations to the rookie getting his first point, but not just Justin Martin scoring the game winner. How do you let Justin Martin score on a breakaway?
That was
That
good. I
I
mean,
don't know how that even a defenseman on a breakaway is the
yeah,
game-winning decider. You don't
yeah,
see
that
that
was
happen too
unreal.
often. That doesn't happen a lot. And they ended up reviewing that goal too, because they didn't know if the ball
Oh,
completely
excuse me.
crossed the goal line. Chase Fraser, who was standing right there, saw the entire play. He knew it was in the whole time. He's like, I don't care what you got to do, go to replay. That ball completely crossed the goal line, and you're going to see it on the overhead cam. Justin Martin getting the OT goal. When you talk about secondary scoring, that's like third scoring right there. Third or
Yeah,
fourth scoring. You don't see Justin Martin really scoring goals, but when he does, you know the team's
it's a
going to come
shock.
out with a big victory. Nick Weiss obviously getting the empty netter, and then I think it was Hasek who scored the sort of a garbage time goal there with like 53 seconds to go, and they're already down by 3. The Bandits were 53 seconds away from holding them to under 7.
Yep,
I mean, Matt Vince, when I tell you he played out of his mind, he played out of his damn mind, and he still got it. Old man still got it, and
sure does.
I told you this before. I think he's going to be riding high going into this weekend at home, sold out, by the way, against the Calgary Roughnecks. He's going to be riding that high back to the KeyBank Center off a very, very, very successful road trip. Dude, watch out for 48. We're going to talk about him on the pregame coming up
Sure.
this Friday. But, dude, massive game from him. I criticized the shit out of him in the home San Diego game. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, this is ridiculous. But then you see games like that, and you're like, all right, fine. I'll let that one slide. Matt Vince, you are still the GOAT. If he's not starting in that game, Saskatchewan could have made that out of hand really, 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 really quick, especially in that first half. Zach Mans was having a hell of a game. Now, keep also in mind, Saskatchewan was missing Robert Church, the number 1 threat on that team. I think he had a personal absence in that game. He had to leave. He wasn't playing due to personal reasons, but you got to take that into account too. If we're gonna call balls and strikes here, you know, the Bandits did beat a scorching hot Rush team that was definitely streaking in the right direction. I think they were 9-2 at the time, and but you also got to call it down the middle this way. Hey, they were missing their number 1 threat against the Bandits. We know how good Robert Church is when he plays the Bandits. I think the last time they played, Church scored 6, and that was at the KeyBank Center last season. So, yeah, we got to call balls and strikes. But hey, you're not going to make excuses for just because one player is out. We could have used that excuse 2 years ago when Josh was out, Chase was out, Kluch was out, Ian McKay when he was out, when Brandon Robinson was out. We could have used that excuse, but we never really did because we had this thing called depth. Maybe that's something that the Rush need to attack at the trade deadline. Because God forbid they miss one of their key forwards. God forbid maybe Zach Mans misses a game. Or maybe Austin Shanks misses a game. Or Robert Church misses another game. I don't know personally if the Rush have enough depth to carry them to the distance. While the Buffalo Bandits do have that depth.
I was kind of like when you made that point out with Robert Church not being there against the Buffalo Bandits. I was kind of looking back at like a few years back when Colorado Mammoth was not having their guy Ryan Lee at the time
Yep.
when he was hurt at the time, and he could have scored like easy 4 or 5 goals against the Buffalo Bandits
At
as well.
will.
So
Yep.
having that mentality and that key player missing from your roster, like you mentioned, it is time for the secondary on your team to step up and be the next one to fill in the shoes. And if they didn't have any guys to do that, that's what's going to happen.
No
You're going to end up
excuse.
losing big games,
Yep.
especially against the Bandits. You could be against even a rival in your division for all we know.
You'd be
And
against
the fact
Calgary
that
or
they didn't have
Vancouver.
Robert Church like that, that hurts them.
Yep. No,
And the
definitely.
fact
And
that when we go in to their house and not only shut them down and keep them under 10 goals like Matt Vince has done beautifully, 42 of 49,
yep.
looking like his old self, looking like his young self, not his old self, but his young self
His
again.
prime
And
Rochester
for the
days.
defense to really play how they did, shutting down their power play 4 out of 5 times, 80% kill. Great job on that. And not very much on the penalty side, too. I was kind of like skeptic about why the referees, even though they did a good job on that game, but it still leaned a little bit towards Buffalo's side. But again, you got to like say, well, Priolo, again, not
Yeah.
having the best day or night, whatever you
Yeah.
might say. But again, the Bandits stuck together as a team as one, and they pulled out a victory.
Yeah. It really didn't have to be pretty. And, it wasn't just the rush player that
Oh,
we're
it was
missing.
pretty. Second half was very pretty.
Second half was gorgeous. And it wasn't just the rush players that, maybe they were missing a player or two. Bandits, Dylan Robinson is out. Matt Spanker's out for the year, too. There should have been blood in the water for the rush players.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mentioned calling balls and strikes. I am going to call balls and strikes there. We're not making
Sure.
excuses when Matt Spanger misses the rest of the season or when Dylan
That's
Robinson's out
that still
6 to 8
sucks.
weeks or whatever. And it
Yeah.
sucks because you know how good he is when he's at the top of his game.
Yeah.
But yeah, injuries happen in the game. We just saw on Twitter today, Zed Williams with the Colorado Mammoth is, I think, what they believe a torn Achilles, and he's out for the rest
Oof.
of the season. So
Oh, that's out for the year.
yeah, so we don't know. You know what? We don't make excuses, but when we see a good depth check type of game, and when we see the depth players lighten up the stat sheet, we learn and we start to really appreciate those secondary guys that light the lamp. Watching Justin Martin score, you cannot waste that opportunity. If Justin Martin scores, you damn well better win that game, and you better not waste that opportunity when they come available to you. But hey, back-to-back W's. Saskatchewan kind of gave them a taste of humble pie. I know that their Twitter admin has been going absolutely nuts over the past few weeks, just absolutely memeing and clowning on teams. And I really liked what the Bandits posted. It was kind of similar to the same style that the Saskatchewan admin would post when they posted the midfield Saskatchewan lost graphic. I thought that was awesome. Also, watching that game on TV as I'm producing it in the GR studio,
Sure.
did anyone else like were your eyes like bugging out of your head when you saw the brightness of that turf? Like I couldn't even look at the TV for like 20 minutes without getting
Mm-hmm.
like a freaking headache. I'm like, why is your turf so bright? What I thought would have been sweet was if they were rocking like a charcoal colored turf with like green lines. I think that would go a little bit. I think that would be even cooler.
I
But
think that would be sick. That would be pretty sick.
I think that would be a lot cooler. So anyone in Saskatchewan's listening, that's my business pitch to you. But
Hmm.
I was like, man, this is like distracting. Like I can't even see like where the ball is half the time. I don't know if
Right.
that was the camera work or if anyone was there. It's probably a little bit darker if you go there in person. But I was like, I get it. You got to match the electric green uniforms that they're rocking. But
Mm-hmm.
geez, holy smokes! I mean, at least we got like a dark green turf in Bandit Land, and we
Yeah.
got like a little bit of purple behind the net, a little bit of orange in the crease. We got a good mix of everything.
Sure.
That was bright. But the Bandits, they really shined on that turf too, and they really played a good physical game, clean for the most part, maybe outside of number 23.
Yeah.
But hey, some of these games happen in a season. The unexpected 9-7 game where they score 16 goals combined between the two teams throughout an
Yeah.
hour's worth of play. When it's weird because there are some games where the Bandits score 16 goals total in a game, and then you have 9 goals, 7 goals, 16 goals total from the two teams. I don't really care how it looks on the stat sheet.
Win's a win.
I know that Josh Byrne is coming back to his usual self. Dane Smith, I know that he's coming back to his usual self. This is a huge confidence boost going into this Saturday against the Calgary Roughnecks. 9-1, got the head-to-head tiebreaker against Saskatchewan in second place. It's all looking great from the very, very top. A complete opposite of where we were last year. Right around this time last year, I believe the Bandits were 5-6, and we're like, what are we doing? Like what is going on here? It's a lot better that we're here now, and it's what's also really, really good is you're getting that confidence back from your 42-year-old goaltender going into a crucial game against Calgary, who's also in the top 8 in the standings as well.
Yeah, and of course, with the way how the trades have been going around, especially with a lot of moves already that's been happening, we found out that, well, we can talk about more of the Calgary transitions and who they picked up and whatnot in our pregame.
Yeah, by
But
the way, Nick
again,
Rose. Yep.
yeah,
Who would have thought?
shocker. I didn't never thought he'd leave Toronto, but
No,
well,
I
he
didn't think
did.
so either. Guess so.
But
He's now he's playing with Jesse King. So
yep.
yeah.
So they got a good team. They got a pretty legit team. So we'll, like I said, we'll talk more about that. But we got to go. I think it's time for us to do the players of the game on each.
Yeah,
For the Seals
let's do
game
it,
on the
man.
road and also for the Rush game on the road too as well.
Yeah, let's do it. Fire it up.
I think. Well, I think you already know who you're going to pick for the Seals game. So I'm going to go with somebody else on that route. I'm going to go with number 95. I'm going to go with Chase. Chase has found his rhythm where he normally usually scores 2-3 goals per game again. The way how he sets himself up and sets the offense going, he may not get the most points like some might, but again, he just finds a way to create havoc or create that. I got to get in front of Chase's shot. Otherwise, he's going to score almost 99% of the time because either he hits the goalie or he hits the post. And believe me when I say this, he's finding the right time to get into a rhythm, especially going into the end of the season. I mean, we just broke through the halfway mark, and right now he's looking like he can score maybe 3 goals now per game instead of 2. And the way I think it, Chase has really earned the right to be in that.
Yeah, I'll go with the layup here, Tony. Because you hit me with Chase Fraser, so I'm gonna go with Kyle Buchanan. I mean, that is the layup right there. Kyle Buchanan gets 3 goals, gets the game winner, and really was a threat on that power play in that night. So I'm definitely gonna go with Kyle Buchanan. And we lost Tony. We lost Tony. You want to know why we lost Tony? Because technology blows. In 2025, you believe that? Do you believe that? In 2025.
There we go.
There we go. In 2025, Tony, you believe that technology still sucks? Like, I can't even believe that. This is unreal.
Well, it is what it is for the internet. I'm sorry, guys.
This is the age of technology.
Did you already announce who you got for the Seals game?
Dude, I went with the layup, Kyle Buchanan. You went with Chase Fraser. I'll go with the layup there. A hat trick, the game-winning goal, a power play threat. So I'm going to go with someone who's under the radar in the Saskatchewan game.
Sure.
Dude, he's coming back to full form. I'm going with Tehoka Nanticoke.
There we go.
Not just 2 goals, but 2 very, very pretty goals. 2 goals that you're really used to seeing out of a player like Tehoka Nanticoke, a player who's been struggling a lot over the past 3 weeks. It's great to see him back on the score sheet. Hey, he scored 2 goals. We won by 2 goals. If Nanticoke's not on the team, we probably don't win that game. Just saying. Right. Tehoka Nanticoke's my player of the game.
Well, for me and against the Rush, I have to go with, of course, obviously going to go with Matt Vince.
Yep.
Vince, time and time again, has proven to the haters, the disappointers, and for those that say he has lost his style in game, shame on you for even saying those words out of your mouth. Because Matt Vince, once again, with the defense setup that we have, who have kept the opposing team under 10 goals for, I think, this is the 4th time this year?
4th or 5th, yeah.
4th time or 5th time this year. Well, that just proves a point. You know, he's still got it. No matter how old he is, he's so good at what he does. And, time and time again, you may have your bad game or you may have your oh my God, he's allowing too much in the one game. We're going to lose. Guys, we're 9-1. We're fine. So you guys all need to just take it easy, take a step back. We'll be okay. It is just the way how Matt Vince is. He is just knowing what he has to get done. He is a big key to our success right now.
Huge. No, he's huge. He was one of the main reasons why we now
I
have at
lost
least
you
a
again.
game. Oh, did he lose me?
I
Did he
know.
lose
I
me?
got you. You're good.
Oh, he's got me. Okay.
Okay.
He's one of the main reasons why we at least have a 1.5 game
Oh, what is
lead
going on here?
against the Saskatchewan Rush. You can see that, yeah, StreamYard and the internet and everything that's going on. The universe doesn't want us to release this, obviously, Tony. I guess we didn't give the universe enough time to post our back-to-back recaps because we got some like internet audio, whatever's going on. But those are my players of the game. Those are your players of the game. The Bandits are at the top of the standings, looking down at every other team, and hopefully that continues. We will send out a preview episode of Banditland Boulevard this Friday, 6:30 face-off. Interesting,
Yeah, early.
weird timing, an hour early. I mean, this is also weird because the KeyBank Center also had a 5:30 Sabres game like a week ago too, when they played the Rangers. I don't know what's going on with that, but hey, they got the Roughnecks nonetheless, and we're going to send out that preview for you coming out on Friday. But Tony, it is time to shout out the loving and always supporting sponsors of Banditland Boulevard.
Sure can. We'd like to thank our main sponsor, and that's Mitchell's Tavern, located at 734 Sheridan Drive up in Tonawanda, New York. Guys, if you haven't tried out their food yet, go and mention the boys in Banditland Boulevard. Myself, Tony LaMonica, over there is Trevor Hauer, and tell them that we sent you to go check it out. They have amazing food, amazing service. They will treat you like family. I shit you not, because they are awesome people. So go get it and go check it out. Also, we'd like to thank Herney's Journeys. If you want to book your next cruise or your next travel, contact Suzanne Pike at herneysjourneys.com. Let her book your next big adventure. Also, we'd like to thank our fans who continuously watch us on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And just to keep talking about Buffalo Bandits lacrosse, now that you can see our faces, this is who we are. So just
Right
let
here.
you guys all know about that. And if you rather listen than see or whatever you want to do, check us out on Spotify, guys. Give it that 5-star rating, that we will not stop talking about the Buffalo Bandits lacrosse.
Ever. No.
Ever.
This dynasty is going to run. They're 9-1. The road trip, the test road trip where you're like, how much do the Bandits really have in the tank? They proved it with a 100 win percentage. Back-to-back games. We got back-to-back dubs. We got a preview episode coming out this Friday. Bandits, Roughnecks, two teams with a lot of history against each other, and a new goaltender that Calgary has. We have a lot of history against him too. More of that to come on the pregame coming up in a couple nights. But on behalf of myself, Trevor Hauer, and that's Tony LaMonica, a.k.a. Boxhead98TL, 2 back-to-back, like that Drake song, back-to-back dubs. Bandits are 9-1. We got 3 words to tell all the people out there in Banditland, USA, Canada, wherever you're watching this from. What are those 3 words, Tony?
We're going to do it just like Swenny. Ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3. Let's go, Bandits. Buffalo,
Let's go.
what?
Oh, hey, I got that same shirt. That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, maybe we should coordinate next time, because I got that same shirt. But hey,
nice. All right.
Let's go. Let's
Talk
go.
to y'all later.
We will see you Friday.
Friday.
Like and subscribe, people. Let's go, Bandits.
Let's go, Bandits.